Slaanesh is unquestionably the best faction in the game right now, especially in domination. Land battles, less so. Today, Coop's going to be taking the Dark Elves into Slaanesh here. We've got Sigvald leading the way with a Nalurus of Shadows and a Cultist of Slaanesh. Mirror Guard up front, a couple of Demonettes, and some Devoted Marauders out to the side. Got some Chariots here in the center, the Chaos Warrior Slaanesh Chariot, going to be much more heavily armored, not quite as fast as the Seeker Chariot, but still quite solid choice. Got Eternal Entourage, the Regiment of Renowned Heartseekers, some Hellstriders. A big reason why Slaanesh is so powerful right now is due to the Hellstriders receiving a buff with the rework to Mark of Slaanesh. They got physical resistance and some other buffs. They're way too cheap for how powerful they are right now. They were good before, but those minor buffs made them even that much stronger. Not to mention Devoted Marauders of Slaanesh, also much too cheap for what they give you, and just a variety of other factors. But today, Coop's here with Malekith up in the air. He's got the Raven's Heralds, Regiment of Renowned Dark Riders, who of course ride Dark Pegasi, and they are going to be a great choice against Slaanesh, given their limited flying options. Crows of Cain here to screen out Furies, which Slaanesh didn't end up bringing any. We've got a couple of Scourge Runners as well for some ranged damage and melee damage here. Dark Riders with shields. We've got a front line of Dread Spears, some Dread Knights, potentially risky choice, and some Shimmering Witch Elves there in the back line as well. You know, I actually really like a few picks here. Witch Elves, although they are exceptionally squishy, if you can enrage the Slaanesh units so they can't be microed, so that your opponent can't issue commands. Obviously, Slaanesh being very squishy, you gotta be you know, able to limit their movements as much as possible, and certainly if you can just straight up make their units go out of control, that's a great way of potentially limiting their movements. Saw there, Coops didn't quite get a nice hit on that mistime that Asa Malice, just slightly, but it's tricky to time that, especially on a fast unit like Demonettes. Even still, the opponent might be able to dodge that, but it's an interesting one for sure. The Hellstriders kind of maneuvering around here in the center. They honestly probably could have gone for a 3v1 quick engagement here on these Dread Knights, and with the Eternal Entourage, especially like getting in the side, might have been able to wipe that unit before these Witch Elves and Dread Spears could collapse to come help. Instead, they're going to switch directions and try and just overload, it looks like, all over on this side. Scourge Runner Chariots getting caught up. The Dark Riders are going to have to countercharge back into screen for them. It's going to be a rough situation for the Dark Riders. Eternal Entourage or Hellstriders all rushing in here, and those Dark Riders will evaporate fairly quickly, although this unit actually, I guess because the Hellstriders were targeted on the Scourge Runners, they didn't get a good charge on the Dark Riders. The Dark Riders do some really cost-effective damage. Do a couple unit of Hellstriders here. Breath Attack from Malekith also tries to stabilize the situation, but yeah, one Dark Rider gets evaporated by the Eternal Entourage. A little bit of Chill Wind as well to help get that Frostbite, and the Poison in tandem to, you know, with the Noxious Breath actually confers poison to help try and slow their speed as much as possible. A lot of the Hellstriders actually take damage pretty quickly, and this is one thing why Slaanesh is maybe not so oppressive in land battles. They are quite unforgiving of mistakes. Everything just dies really fast if you get caught out, like the Eternal Entourage here. A super expensive elite cavalry unit just gets ripped to shreds by the Cairns of Cain, and Malekith leaving. Oh man, what a beautiful sight. Just take in the colors of this scene for a minute. Anyway, the Raven's Heralds, I mean, they were unopposed up in the air anyway, so they can just kind of fire at whatever high-value targets and try and get some damage in. And granted, the accuracy is not going to be incredible, but Witch Elves get in the front line here. They're going to trade reasonably decent against Demonettes, especially with the Madness of Cain debuffing the melee defense of Demonettes even further. Nice downhill charge as well from the Dread Knights. They're going to try and not stay in combat here too long. They do, you know, take quite a bit of damage versus the Demonettes and these Marauders and whatnot, so they're going to pull away there. Let the Spears stay in the screen. Meanwhile, Malekith puts down a nice Soul Stealer here. It's going to hit a lot of these cavalry units, help keep him nice and fresh. Slaanesh also just kind of has a lack of anti-large AP. Like, really the only thing that could directly threaten Malekith heavily here is if he were to, like, land in the middle of these Demonettes and they got a really good surround on him, but Dragon actually against Slaanesh, without them having like a Soul Grinder or, you know, some other kind of elite anti-large AP type unit, the Eternal Entourage would have been threatening. If, again, they would have been able to get a full surround on Malekith. They could have killed him probably pretty quickly, but whereas Dark Elves here taking the initiative to, you know, kind of draw the Eternal Entourage out and then countercharge them heavily, able to deal with them without having it be too much of a threat to Malekith. Raven's Herald's also doing a great job here. A bit of a Pit of Shades from Slaanesh. Ended up doing a little bit of friendly fire damage there and just evaporated some Dread Spears. So I'm not 100% sure that was worth it, but Witch Elves coming back up and around here. Dread Knights priming for another downhill charge, ever so slightly downhill charge. And some of those devoted Slaanesh Marauders tumbling to their doom. More Chill Wind there in the distance as well. Such a nice, efficient spell, even against an unarmored faction like Slaanesh. And at this point, Slaanesh player is going to throw in the towel, but what a game. I really like this build from Dark Elves. I like a lot of the thought process here, even if the Witch Elves don't pay for themselves necessarily, tactically, not allowing those Demonettes to disengage. And I mean, Demonettes literally can't cycle charge, and you probably should cycle charge with them. But that being said, you know, the character situation for Slaanesh, Sigvald's good. He does a lot for you, but I think against the Dark Elves, it's a little bit tricky. I don't love the Cultist here unless she's on the War Shrine. And even then, big target against the Dark Elves. Has quite a bit of HP. The Mortis Drain could get some work done against their squishy HP, but you have to be able to screen their ranged units out. So, you know, her on that with quite a bit of mobility would work pretty well. I think maybe, yeah, you could... The Eternal Entourage are good. I don't totally love them here, though. I think you could cut them and just go a little bit wider with more regular Seekers, Hellstriders, and it would probably benefit you more in that situation. But yeah, it's nice to see the Hellstriders not necessarily perform like completely OP, and largely a lot of units were limited. The Slaanesh Chariot actually turns in a pretty good performance. I might try just one time, just randomly, like a very much Warriors focused build with like maybe a heavy Warrior frontline, some supporting Marauders, of course, and then some Chariots. Perhaps. The Chariots seem like they're going to be really nice on paper with that devastating flanker. Just high damage against Elves, squishy HP is nice in theory, but I'd need to try and practice, see how it works. Devoted Marauder is one of them put in tactical reserve, apparently. But anyway, Coop's side here. That was pretty good value on Malekith, of course. The Dread Knights do a decent job. Dark Riders also a very noble sacrifice of them. And then the Raven's Heralds, I love that pick here, actually, as kind of a surprise piece that Slaanesh definitely didn't have the tools to deal with. So in hindsight, definitely some Marauder Horsemen with Javelins or like one or two Furies who have been super useful in order to screen them. But obviously you can't know that in advance. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this one. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.